Hey, I'm Vincent Martin, and this is my story. The purpose of this is not to build a platform, it's not trying to build fame or a following, but that I can inspire the next person to believe and know that, first off, with God, all things are possible, and it's never too late.
We're here at Legacy Performance Club.
Yeah.
Man, this is your baby.
Mm-hmm.
This is your baby. It was birthed from something.
Yeah.
We're gonna dig all the way into that.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's the point, right? But legacy obviously comes from something, right? And I'm not gonna talk a lot,
Yeah.
obviously. But what I love is dope about us, bro, is that we got such a strong relationship. You're genuinely one of my best friends, and a lot of things I'm gonna pull out of you, a lot of questions I ask, obviously I already know.
Yeah.
Right. In the rawest form, the most purest form. But man, we're here so you can share your story with the world in a way that is raw and uncut. And when we talk about the story, we got to talk about the foundation, the thing that birthed you, the place that birthed you, the people that birthed you.
Absolutely.
Right? And what sparked legacy. So Vincent, talk to me a little bit, bro. When you think about your childhood, when you think about how you came up, when you think about where you were raised, what comes to mind?
Man, what comes to mind? I would definitely say perseverance, right? So being the youngest, which not that big of a deal, but then when you throw in the fact that my mom was 21 when she had me, and I was her fifth child. You know, I was my dad's second child, and he was maybe 19 years old. So even from the start, it just wasn't ideal. And then my father getting sent away to start, his life sentence, 25-year sentence for attempted murder, 2 counts of it. My grandmother took us in. So from the very beginning, the 3 most important people to who I am and how I got here: Roberta Martin, Vincent Martin, and Helen Martin. Like I said, my grandmother raised me and my brother Chris, and she laid this whole foundation. When you look at my faith, my level of excellence, the way I love my children, the way I do everything I do, I honestly have to tie that to my grandmother. But of course, my mother gave me life. It's not like she didn't raise me. Her and my grandmother split custody. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, summer, I'd be with my mom. But during the school year and every other day, I'm with my grandmother. So grandmother, extreme structure. I was in church more than the pews. I knew the word of God. Like, that was instilled. She literally raised me in a way so that when I got older, I wouldn't depart from it. But my mother, not saying that she wasn't a good mother, she was an amazing mother. But when I was with her, there was like no boundaries.
Yeah.
So I could learn any lesson, I could go any place, I could do anything I wanted to do. Not so much like she would give me that permission, but she was a baby raising babies. So doing the best she could, she just didn't know how to set those boundaries sometimes. And so I had both extremes in life.
That's a wild extreme. 2 generational gaps being raised under at the same time in different spots. Right? Walk me through a day in the life, right, on either side.
Yeah, for sure.
Grandmother's home, right, where the structure's at, to being with mom, who's younger, as you mentioned, the baby raising the baby. What was a day in the life of young Vincent like?
Man, so with my grandmother, like I said, structure. You wake up, you eat breakfast, you brush your teeth, wash your face, make your bed, clean your room. And she worked, so she raised my father and his sister. So now she's raising us again. And I remember her having 2 and 3 jobs, so like we would wake up and it would be dark. She'd get us ready, and Big Mama lived down the street. So Big Mama was my grandmother's mother, and Pawpaw, granddaddy, was her dad. So she would get us ready in the morning before the sun was up. We're down there at Big Mama's house waiting for the bus to come. Bus comes, we go to school, do the school thing, get out, go back to Big Mama's house until the sun was down, and then, grandmother would come pick us up, and we would have a night routine. You would eat, take your shower, clean your room, a lot of structure. One thing I can always say we did when I was with my grandmother was we prayed at the end of the night. You know, I don't care if you were mad that day, sad that day, glad that day, tired that day. You never ended the night without giving thanks, without acknowledging who God was. Also, on Wednesday nights, Friday nights, Sunday morning, Sunday evenings, you're in church. That's just what it was. Like the sun's gonna go up, the sun's gonna go down, and you're gonna go to church on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Hated it at the time, but that was what the structure was like. Now, at mom's house, you got to think it was also different. Besides the fact that she was a lot more lenient, there wasn't as many boundaries. Whenever I went to her house, it was always vacation. You were out of school for something, so you already know what that's like. Like, oh, I ain't got school the next day. But then you throw in the fact that now let me take another step back. Grandmother raised me in Rockwall, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. So imagine Mays, Andover, put together, had a baby. Okay. So, you know, the kind of kids I grew up with, for their 16th birthday, they're getting compressors and boats, you know. But at mom's house, you talking South Garland, South Dallas, North Dallas. It was the exact opposite. So, you know, I may wake up in the morning. My best friend was Bubba. Listen, Bubba is literally the only human that is smaller than me. Yeah, and it was like that. Even when we were little, Bubba was smaller than me, but Bubba was my dog, man. Like, together, both of us equaled one person, but he had my back, I had his. Mm-hmm. Wake up in the morning, you get on the bike, and the world is yours. I'm going anywhere, everywhere, and doing anything. Plus, you know, I had my oldest brother who was 7 years older than me. He was really my idol. I think when you talk about my hustle, my drive, and everything, like, that's because of my big brother. He was my father figure. So when I woke up, I'm checking with him. What's the play for the day? You know, he may have me around the dope dealers and the gangsters. You know, yeah. I may be with Chill Will, who they stuff in my pockets with the money and the drugs, so that if the police did run up, you know, they're not gonna pat down the kid. You know, I can walk away from the scene. So I could be doing that morning, or my brother could be like, "Hey, I'm going to a party tonight. I need my clothes ironed." That was my first hustle. So I learned how to starch and iron his clothes, and him and his friends would pay me. If I wasn't doing something like that, yeah, me and Bubba was adventurous. And the same way, you know, in Rockwall, I'm waking up before the sun comes up, you know, and I'm not returning until the sun goes down. Like, that's how it was at mom's house, except for I would just be out doing whatever I wanted to do, experiencing life.
Man, so it's a lot of layers in that, right? So from a faith perspective, you've got, as a youth, I'm sure there's no discernment in place, right? You just, wherever I'm at is where I'm at.
Yeah, wherever I am, that's how I'm functioning.
Right. One could say kind of the devil on one side, God on the other side.
Absolutely.
Tugging you, pulling you. But before I kind of dive into that, I want to ask, what was the relationship like with your siblings, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding it, you're in a situation where you spend time at grandma's house, who was your pop's mother, but then you're the youngest of father at mom's house.
Yeah.
So kind of what was that like?
Bro, I legitimately had the dopest siblings. Still do. Wow. Even with how much things have changed. So I was the one sibling who had a relationship with all siblings. Okay. So my oldest brother, you know, he of course was close with everybody, but he may not have been as close with my brother Chris. Same mom, same dad. Same thing with Chris and Christina, my sister. You know, Chris and Corey were close, but me and Corey were close also. So I had a relationship with all my siblings, which at any time, man, I could have any kind of experience I wanted to based on that. You know, my oldest brother was the one, he was in the streets. He was doing that. My brother Corey was more into like the music, creative, social life. My sister, super popular, had all the friend girls. You know, so that was a different dynamic. And then my brother Chris was like the more reserved, quiet, kept musician, also kind of like that creative type. But, you know, me and him are like this, because whether I'm in Rockwall or Dallas, my brother is there with me. So I had a great relationship with all my siblings.
That's fire. That's fire. So two of y'all shared mom and dad. You mentioned Chris, Corey, Christina,
and Carlos.
Yeah. And then Vincent.
And then Vince.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Everybody got the C on there. Okay, that's dope. That's dope. So talk to me a little bit more about grandma, man. Because, you know, a lot of young fellas, we become grandma's boy.
Yeah.
Right? And the faith part that she instilled in you.
For sure.
What was that like growing up? And recognizing where you were going to mom's house, did it ever feel like I'm tripping? Or was it like, no, I'm just a kid living life?
No, grandmother raised me in a way that, you know, a lot of people, they look at religion and they want to act like it's the slave master gave this to him, and oh, it's beat into you and everything else. But she did it with love. As a matter of fact, she didn't teach religion. She taught us relationship.
Okay.
Which is why she said, you go to church, God, but at the end of the day, you got to know him for yourself. It wasn't like this thing that held me captive. It was a thing that made me free. So when I think about the most traumatic experiences in my life, no knock to my mother, but they always happened at mama's house.
Okay.
You could see the SWAT team. You may see somebody get pistol whipped. You may see somebody get shot at mama's house. You may see somebody get stabbed. Literally the most traumatic story of my life happened when I was with my mother. Actually, she let me spend the night at a family member's house. The most traumatic thing that ever happened there. But I remember even in those moments, it was the stuff that grandma taught me, what grandma told me to lean on, the truths that grandma instilled in me using the word of God that got me through it. And listen, I'm not knocking any of my brothers or sisters or saying that I'm any better than any of them. But I know for a fact that the thing that got me to where I am right now, to be able to sit here and have this conversation, is because the basic knowledge and relationship that I had with God, which my grandmother introduced me to, instilled me with.
So you mentioned not being better than your siblings. I don't think anybody's better than anybody.
For sure.
Right? But we even run down the names. They all got that C on it.
Yeah.
Yours has a V.
Yeah.
Right? And albeit not better, but different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When did you realize that you were different?
Man, that's a good question. And I would honestly say it was very early on. So I had an asthma attack in the 4th grade. It's crazy. I got a few more stories like this, right? Where at Big Mama's house, sleeping just a little bit before the bus came, and I woke up and it literally felt like somebody was on my chest, like holding my chest down. Couldn't breathe, could barely see, and I had an encounter with God. Just recently, I had another encounter with God I was telling you about, but I had an encounter with God, bro, in the 4th grade. And I remember this encounter. It wasn't like God sat me down and was like, just gave me this clear vision, like you're going to do all these amazing things. But I remember this interaction where I could tell I was going to do major things. I could feel that I was going to be somebody who led people. I would be different, right? Like I knew all of that. It didn't make sense, but I knew it. And, I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and it was a big deal. But that's probably when I first started noticing that, man, I'm kind of different in a lot of different areas. Also, hearing my mother would tell me she loved all her children. She didn't have favorites, but she would tell us all things. Because as a parent, each one of your children are different. But she would tell me at a young age, like, man, you are going to be the one who does this, who does that. People are going to follow you. People are going to listen to you. I was super headstrong. My mother whooped me one time my whole life, right? Okay, so it was her birthday, and I didn't want to be bothered with the neighbor. I have real light brown eyes. So when I was young, all my sister's friends, all my mother's friends would tell me how pretty my eyes were. And this day I just wasn't in the mood for that. And this lady's touching all on my face, and I gave her some words. And I could tell you more about my mother. She's 4'11", but she had a mouth. Okay. Like she could string together some words and everything else. Yeah. And emulating my mother, I let her friend know how I felt about her touching me and how I didn't want her to. My mother's like, you need to apologize. And I'm like, I'm not. She was like, well, you need to apologize, or I'm going to whoop you. I'm like, well, I'm taking a whooping. And so she whooped me, like, thinking, like, okay, if I hit him twice, he's going to break. He's going to apologize to my friend. No, I didn't. And I remember that next day, she was like, that was the most painful thing I've had to do. But I promise you, that is what is going to make you who you're going to become. When you believe something, you don't worry about what it's going to cost you, what other people are going to say, what other people are going to do. Like, when you believe it, you stick with it, and that's what's going to make you who you're going to be. Yeah. And that's 100% true. That's who I am. I don't do it because of influence. I don't do it because somebody's going to pat me on the back. I don't do it because other people believe. Once I believe, you can say whatever you want to about it. Just catch up with me on the other side when it all comes true.
That's word. Yeah, that's word, man. And that's layered in itself. How old were you at this time?
Man, I was probably early elementary. I'd probably say between like 7 and 9.
So what did that moment teach you about yourself? Or did it even?
Yeah, it did.
You did it, okay.
It taught me a lot about myself. Like, man, don't change. If I believe it, stick with it. I had to learn how to direct that because also part of my story was like in elementary school, middle school, high school, I would get in trouble or a teacher would call me out, a coach would call me out. And if I believed different, that's what I stood on. So even though my mother reinforced that in me, my grandmother's the one who had to deal with it. She was the one having to get off work because they're like, Miss Martin, he's in the office again. He won't say anything. He won't respond to our directives. But I that's just how I function. That's just how I move. And I'm glad that I never deviated from that.
So I got to ask a question in that. And it's my mind is going in a place because now we're looking at older women touching on boys.
Yeah.
Right, which is a whole nother conversation, right? And the way that you stood your ground, right, is again something that I see in you these days, right? Just from, it's a foundational piece of who you are. You said the teachers, like, you're going to stand on business pretty much.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Miss Martin, your grandmother, which makes me think about Mr. Martin, your father.
Yeah.
So during this time, what is your relationship like with your father? Because you mentioned he's locked up at this time, right? Okay.
So it was the best that it possibly could be considering that he was locked up. Something else too, like in Rockwall, you got to think in a population of maybe back then, it was a smaller town. Let's just say there was 10,000 people.
Okay.
Maybe 900 of us were black.
Okay.
Right? So another thing was all the black people lived in what you call the flats in Rockwall. It was like the black community. And it was very normal. Like none of us had dads. Like that was the norm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like even the white friends, people may be like, oh, they were being racist. But just as kids, I think they thought that's just how it was. Like black kids just didn't have dads.
Yeah.
So it was normal to me to go to Huntsville, Livingston, Copill unit, whatever, go to any unit and have a relationship with my father at a picnic bench because that's what you sat at. The thing I hated still to this day, gives me PTSD, is you would get there and we couldn't identify like, hey, I'm here to see Vincent Martin Sr. They say, what inmate are you here to see? I'm here to see inmate number 550938.
Yeah.
Hate those numbers, because I'm like, I'm here to see my dad, Right. And again, because of what I believed and how I felt, I would go there, hated the guards. I hated police, honestly, until probably my mid-20s.
Okay.
Honestly, like when people started kneeling for the national anthem, it wasn't popular by any means. I didn't do it because I hated America. I didn't support it because I hated America. I hated policemen because I had a different view of policemen,
Right.
Yes, my father did crimes and he was in jail, but then he would tell me about how the guards acted, the lack of integrity on the guards, how drugs got in through the guards. Also, I had an uncle that was beaten by Dallas Police, the Dallas Police Department, and I watched him die over a year's period with half of his head missing because they had to remove his brain. So my view of law enforcement was a lot different.
Yeah.
Like I knew that they had a job to do, but it was hard for me, especially as a kid, to balance like some are good or some are bad. So I just put them all in the same pot. But that's the kind of that's what it was like with my father. Now my father, I tell people all the time, he gave me prison proverbs.
Okay.
So I would go and visit him, and he'd be like, "Boy, you little, So this is how you have to carry yourself." He would teach me and my brother Chris. This is how you have to carry yourself. You don't let nobody do this. You don't let them people do that. You stand on this.
Right.
You keep your hands to yourself. But if it's brought to your front door, I don't want to hear about you running. Because if I hear about you running, you come down here, you have to run for me. So that's how my father literally raised us with a strong arm, even behind walls.
Yeah.
And so I would take that, and I took it to heart. Like when my dad tell me something, like that's what I'm applying. He would tell me something. This is how you pick your friends. You meet a new group of people. It's okay to tell lies. And I'm like, man, why do I want to lie to my new friends? They say, that way, when it comes back to you, you can know, first off, who you trust. You can know who's going to be honest about what they go back to. He would just teach me all these things based on his knowledge because he grew up behind the walls.
Right.
He hit the ground running when he was 14, but, 15, 16, 17, and then finally starting his bid at 19 years old. That was how he raised me.
So you got three different pockets of what's informing who you are as a youth,
Yeah.
right? From pops, it sounds like survival.
Yeah.
From grandma, it sounds like the spirit.
Yeah.
And with mom, with the freedom you had, it almost sounds like you're just learning yourself.
Learn. Yeah. Trial and error.
Wow.
For sure.
That's layered. That's layered. So, again, we talking Rockford, Texas. We talking Texas. We talking your grandmother, your parents, right? Was there anybody else, adult-wise, youth-wise, that really put on your heart that you reflect on now? That's like, man, that was a foundation of, and the root of who I am today.
Yeah, so I would have to start with coaches, which is why I do what I do, and I do it the way that I do it. Coach Baker, Jay Baker, J.W. Williams Middle School, Coach Harvey.
Yeah.
So these were my early on middle school football coaches. And in Texas, football is life. And I love football. Like, that was my thing. You know, we haven't even touched based on that, but football was my thing. Extremely undersized, but I had heart, I had drive, I had determination. Talking about me and Bubba, that was one of the things. We get on bikes, we find the football games.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, it's the 15-year-olds, we playing with the 15-year-olds. You know, we get slammed on our face, the shirts tore up, but we love the sport. So I remember in the 6th grade, I almost didn't play football because I had to get a physical.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, nobody is touching me in order for you to tell me I'm healthy enough to play football. So my brother Chris, he got the physical. So after school, I would have to wait outside of the practice fields, watch him practice. I did that for 2 or 3 weeks, and finally Coach Baker came, and he was like, why are you just standing outside the gate? Do you want to play football? I'm like, you want to play football? He's like, well, why don't you? I was like, I don't want to get a physical. And he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, like, get the physical. Now, he didn't understand my thought process, but he was like, get the physical, come play football. And that was the first space where people didn't baby me because I was so little. People didn't say, oh, you're going to get hurt doing this. And that's where I learned how to go and get what I want. Because in Texas, you got to think, everybody wants to be under Friday Night Lights. But you're in a huge city. You got a lot of competition. So you got to compete. So they taught things like, when I call somebody for a rep, somebody needs to be here. Coach would call an O lineman. And I'm running up there, you know. He pulled me by my face mask. Get out of here, you know, whatever. But that's what was instilled in me, and that's what I kept with. Football also taught me perseverance. I think I was the C team 6th grade, C team 7th grade. I made it up to the B team as an 8th grader.
Okay.
But it was the things that I was willing to do with enough heart and determination that kept giving me opportunities until finally in high school, you know, I broke through.
For sure.
I finally broke through and got my opportunity.
And so that makes my wheels turn a little bit. So you talk about the first job you had, the first hustle you had, ironing your bros, his clothes. You talk about being you and Bubba being one person dang near when you combined, right? Just the different things, even football, right? Being the first one up, they call it a lineman. I'm stepping up.
I'm stepping up.
Did you feel like you had something to prove?
Oh, for sure.
Who were you trying to prove it to? What were you trying to prove?
First off, I was trying to prove to my circumstance, right, that, yeah, my friends may be rich. I used to hate going to birthday parties. They got mansions. I know I'm going back to the 3-bedroom. Grandmother kept it clean, don't get me wrong. Always had what I needed, but I hated that. So I feel like I'm trying to prove something from an early age. Donuts for dads, muffins for moms, you know, like nobody was pulling up. Like I was always trying to prove something, especially to myself. And I would say if there was a totem pole of people I was trying to prove something to, myself was at the bottom because I already knew. You know, like I believed and knew. I just needed for everybody else to get on board. Yeah. So I was always trying to prove it to other people. And so coaches giving me an opportunity, every day I'm trying to prove it. Going into middle school, I had a head injury the last day of 5th grade. So I was supposed to skip a couple grades. Like, they considered me gifted.
Okay.
I was supposed to skip a couple of grades, but my brother Chris, same mom, same dad, he had some learning disabilities. So he got held back. So my grandmother was like, no, we're just going to put him in the same grade. So extremely gifted, art, learning, everything. Had this head injury that last day of 5th grade. My behavioral capacity changed. My memory capacity changed. A lot of things changed. So when I got to middle school, it was the exact opposite. I failed every class every year. Behavioral issues. I brought a gun to school 2 weeks after Columbine.
And this is middle school.
Middle school.
Okay.
I wasn't going to shoot anybody up, but again, trying to prove like my worth and trying to fit in. And like I was always trying to prove something to everybody else.
Somebody told you to bring a gun. You want to protect yourself?
No. I just wanted an opportunity to break into a conversation, right? Because friends was going to Africa and going on safaris. You know, oh, it's spring break. My family's taking our boat out onto I wanted a reason to have valuable conversation, you know, and like bringing a gun to school was my form of doing that.
Right.
But again, my behavioral and my academics changed a lot after this head injury. Not blaming it on that, but a lot of things changed during that. So definitely after that, I'm definitely trying to prove some things, right? Because now I'm sitting in meetings and they're like talking about how I don't have a father, and that's the reason I'm acting out. My mother isn't present, so that's why I'm acting out. They were just basically saying all these things that took me down a peg.
Are you believing it?
No.
Right.
I know for a fact I'm not believing it. You know, it was the fact that they were. And you know me better than anybody. You're my success coach. We had those conversations. You know that everything I do is because I'm trying to get people to see something I already see.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to say I hold myself on other people's words, right? Like I'm going to sleep fine at night regardless. But I want people to see what I see, because what I see is like the grand vision. And if you can see it how I see it, I know we're going to get something done. So, I was always trying to prove something.
That's amazing.
Still trying to prove it.
Still trying to prove it.
Yeah.
So, kind of shifting gears, right? So we talk about the foundation, right? But then obviously with any foundation, we got to build it up, for sure, right? And as you build it, you got to have not only motivation, accountability, but a level of discipline. And it's a loaded question, but do you recall like the moment you recognized, oh, I am disciplined?
Oh, yeah.
Was it football? Was it?
Yeah, it was sports related. I was in the 6th grade. That's when so in Texas, you start lifting in the 6th grade.
They start y'all early.
Man, like, no, if you get out fifth grade, you got the summer, you start lifting. So that's when I realized I had discipline. Because, we lifted, but then coach would be like, you can come before school. So I came before school. And that's when I fell in love with understanding, like, if I can put this work in, and it doesn't matter if that kid is rich, it doesn't matter if that kid is 100 pounds bigger than me, it doesn't matter if that kid's dad is this. If I put this work in, it's going to give me my results, and I fell in love with that.
Yeah.
Like that was the differentiator. Like, you hear me say it all the time, and it's my slogan at the gym is like, your effort determines your results. When I found that out, oh man, the rest was history. Yeah.
So football, how long did you play football?
Started in the 5th grade. My grandmother wouldn't let me play until the 5th grade. K.R. Hooks, Kim Hooks, the Hooks family, paid for me to play through the YMCA. First football practice, bro, I sit in a pile of Texas fire ants. So I finally get the opportunity to play football. I've been playing it since, but organized 5th grade, sit in a pile of Texas fire ants, end up with like 13 pounds of swelling. But as soon as I get cleared, I go back, and that was the start of my football career, 5th grade.
5th grade.
Play for the Jaguars.
Yeah. And grandma continues to come up, especially as I think to these power words of discipline. And let's talk about the faith piece of it all real quick.
Yep.
All right. So with grandma, as kids, grandma drag you to church, make you go to church. I'm just there.
Yeah. I'm there so I don't get fined.
You know what I mean? But is there any moments as a youth, right, or even coming into teenage adulthood where you recall like faith becoming a cornerstone for you, not because somebody's giving it to you, but for you?
Me. Yeah. So I gave my life to God, committed to everything when I was in elementary school.
Okay.
Right. Nobody made me do it. Altar call was every service, so I had passed on it a bunch of times, but I just remember the preacher giving that truth that Your walk with God is your walk. Your grandmother can't go to heaven for you, right? Like, and your sins ain't gonna keep her out of heaven.
Yeah.
So I had to make a decision early on, and I made that decision very early. So I had faith throughout all this. So I could talk about the discipline and the coaches, but it's all because I understood that faith without works is dead. I can't say I want something if I'm not willing to go work for it and stand on it and believe it. So faith was prevalent and evident from the very beginning.
For sure.
Early, made that decision. But I started really walking it out my senior year in high school.
Okay.
So at Texas, 5A football, got the starting position, and instead of staying in Rockwall that summer, doing the 3 days, everything else, I went to Dallas. My sister was old enough.
Okay.
She had an apartment, you know, and so she's 18, I'm 15, 16. I go to Dallas for the summer, and it was crazy. Like, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not my grandmother, but my mother already didn't have boundaries. So now I'm with my mother, but I'm at my sister's apartment.
Yeah.
So you can imagine.
In high school.
In high school. So you can just imagine, like, the stuff I got into and everything else. But I said all that to say, I show back up in Rockwall thinking, like, all right, I was the starter when I left at the end of spring ball. And coach is like, yeah, you're at the bottom. You're at the very bottom. And in Texas, it's very much competitive, right? So you got to think, it took me from 6th grade to 10th grade to get to a starting position. So here I am trying to battle back for even relevance my junior year. So I became discouraged, and the wrestling coach actually found me in the weight room and was like, you're the exact weight we need. So I had found wrestling, and I was like, man, this is too much to overcome. I'm just going to go wrestle.
Okay.
So I hate that I even can say that I quit something in my life, but I quit football, you know, just ill-advised, quit football. But got a second chance my senior year.
Okay.
My best friend's dad took a coaching job at a private school. He hit me up because he knew what I was capable of. He's like, come play football for me. At this private school, at first I was like, no. Ended up doing it. The best decision I made in my young life. I was surrounded by other believers. We were not perfect, right? We were kids, but there's something about being in God's presence, being surrounded by like-minded people that it's going to inspire, it's going to motivate, it's going to encourage. So again, I'm at this crossroads and I choose God.
Word.
Like, I chose God, and bro, it was amazing. Like the offers that came, the opportunities. I played in the Texas high school all-star game. So it's like, when you understand that God's time is different from ours, his ways are above ours, his thoughts are above ours, you can mess up for 10 years and God can get you all 10 of those years back in a year.
Fact.
When you realign. So I realigned, and God got my life back on track, and that's how I ended up in Kansas.
Okay.
You know, out of the schools, out of the different coaches and everything, I ended up coming to Kansas to continue college, but that's when my faith really exploded.
And I feel like around the time when I met you, maybe a little bit after.
Yeah, that was a little, yeah.
Yeah.
It was about a year and a half later I met you.
So you talk about the crossroads, talk about that walk with God, and we honest, we keep it a beam with each other. That ain't always the easiest walk. We talk about the discipline, right?
Yeah.
It's not always the most disciplined walk, right? So you with believers, right? You with like-minded folks. You reaping the benefits of what you're sowing, right? Essentially. But then you have a life pivot.
Yeah.
Right? Get arrested. Right? Walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, so 2004, I'm a pre-med psychology student. By 2006, like, I'm in the dub.
Okay.
I'm in the dub trying to make it happen, and started out the right way. Like, I'm working, trying to earn, but then my daughter's on the way. And something about that just, it hit a different gear in my life, because now I have the opportunity not to bring somebody else into the world and give them what I had growing up. Like, I can give them something different. So my daughter was my turning point. And I never want her to hear this and be like, oh, I'm the one who caused my dad to make these bad decisions, right? It was never that. She sparked a fire in me to be a provider, a protector on a different level. Like I was somebody outside of me now. So when I ended up in Wichita, I'm working. Now my daughter's on the way, and I'm realizing, man, working at Champs ain't gonna cut it. You know, working at InfoNext, having 2 or 3 jobs, it's gonna be harder than I expected. So I'm like, I'm gonna just go make some easy, quick money on the side. But the wages of sin are death. And sin has a way of getting its hooks in you. And man, it's hard to swim after that. So that pivot in my life, I went from pre-med psychology to street pharmacist, you know, in other words. And because of the drive, because of my hustle, because of my determination and my discipline, those are principle-based things, right? So you can apply discipline, you can apply it to anything and you're going to get an end result. Well, I just applied it to selling dope.
Yeah.
I applied my discipline to selling dope, my organization to selling dope. And what turned out is, I'll just make, you know, an extra $1,000 a month. Now I'm making an extra $1,000 a week. Now I'm making $5,000 a week. Now I know on the first and the third, you know what I'm saying? Like I know what it's looking like. And now I can go and get cars. Now I can go and have nice things. I can have all the things that the kids growing up around me had because their parents were lawyers and oil money and everything else. So, you know, here I am, pre-med psychology, take a dip, then I got a taste of it, and man, I lost full control. Now listen, I was still showing up to be a father.
Word. Still
Providing for my daughter. Like I never stopped doing that, but in pretty much every other area of my life, I slipped right off the slope.
There's something in there, right? That survivor piece. 2 things in there. That survivor piece that Pops taught you. Sounds like it really kicked in.
Oh, that's when it kicked in.
Like, okay, it is now bigger than me. I got a daughter to take care of. How can I make sure she's straight? But then you also, that self part, right? Well, now you're able to feed little Vincent.
Yeah.
Right? And like you mentioned, like now you're able to do the things, get the things that might have missed out on or felt like you missed out on as a youth. And understanding your story, right? I'm gonna pull all the way out though. So knowing that once you got in that game, right? How hard was it for you how easy was it for you to get out the game?
So it's 2-sided.
Okay.
When I finally hit that final, all right, dude, you got to make a decision. It was easy.
Okay.
Every other time before then, it was hard. It didn't make sense. Why would I? You know, I could lose. You know, I may tuck $3,000 in a pair of shoes and forget it's even there, but I wasn't even tripping because I'm making that if I get up and get to it, you know, for the next couple of days. So it's hard to stop doing that. You know, it's hard to stop when you don't have to do anything outside of what you want to do. Because again, I'm an entrepreneur. When you see all of my businesses now, I started out with the nicks and the dimes, and I was the one getting up, busting the swerves in the middle of the night. But then eventually, I was the person putting people in place. Okay, well, I'll pay the rent on the trap. I'll supply the product and pay that. You sit there with it. I'll give you a percentage of it. Like I got 5, 6, 7, 8 people doing that for me. I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm moving. So it was hard to stop doing that, having the cars. You know, being at the club, throwing the money, you know, going and buying something brand new to wear for that day. Like, it's hard to stop doing that and make the right decisions. But, you know, I had probably been arrested, man. I can't even tell you how many times, you know, prior to. But I was just so used to it. I'm on my way. I know the homie is calling the bail bondsman.
Word.
So by the time I get there and do my fingerprints and everything, I may sit a couple of hours, but I'm going to be out. I'm bond out. But this specific time, we got raided, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So had a spot here, and I had a spot across the street. I would hang out at the spot across the street because, you know, nothing was going on there. And I remember Unc was sitting in the house. He called me. He said, "Nephew, the money is made." So I'm like, all right, go. It was an abnormal, beautiful day.
Okay.
Right? Birds chirping kind of thing. And I walk in, me and Uncle talking. He gives me the money. He was like, "Here's the money. The rest of the work is in the ceiling fan." I'm like, all right. But at that exact same time, you hear, bro, it sounded like somebody drove a truck into the front of the house. And, you know, you look down the hallway and, you know, it's like a shotgun house, you know, you see straight. And you could just see the SWAT team coming in. You see the shields and everything. I already knew what it was. I knew they weren't going to find no work. So, you know, I just laid down, put my hands behind my back, took me downtown, and that was the first time it hit. Because when I got there, I'm looking at my paperwork, trying to find out my bond amount, and it's like zero, zero. And I'm like, oh man, Cat Williams got the joke, 10% of nothing is nothing. Like, I'm not getting out today. So I'm sitting in the county, I'm sitting at the edge of the bed. Mind you, my grandmother thinks I'm still in college. My whole family like that. I was the first person in my family to go to college. So you got like all these people and they think like I'm saving the family, like legitimately. People think I'm saving the family. And now I'm sitting in the county like I don't even have a bond.
How old is your daughter at this time?
My daughter she's not even a year.
Okay.
She ain't even a year. As a matter of fact, I could tell you she's about 6 months old, and I can tell you why in just a minute. 6 months old, I'm sitting in the county, I'm sick. I can't call my grandmother, so, I'm sitting at the edge of the bed, and that's my come to Jesus moment. I'm like, God, wherever I wake up tomorrow, I already know. Like, it's in me. I know which path I'm supposed to be on. Wherever you wake me up in the morning, I'm going to pursue you.
So in that prayer, was that fear or was that just like...
No, that was
peace?
That was revelation, realization. Like, I could have just been doing what God asked me to do out there, but as it is, this is probably where I'm going to be. So wherever I wake up, I'm just going to be on fire for you. Woke up the next morning, they're like, Martin. So, I'm grabbing my bedding and everything else. I got my mom prepared, like really on some, who am I going to have to step up to? Who's going to slap me? Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm going upstairs. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, you call my name, I'm going upstairs. They're like, no, like, you're free to go. Well, I found out they whopped my charges, which I wasn't free to go. They had a couple of years to bring my charges up later, which they did. But let me tell you, bro, I walked out of the county that day, and that's when my whole life changed. I called my boy Robert Hunt. Okay, the twins, Robert and Rodney Hunt, man. I could do a whole series on just them, Robert and Rodney Hunt, man. But I called Robert. He was like, bro, I'm at work. Call Rodney. So I'm walking down Main Street. I don't even have shoes. I'm walking down Main Street just happy to be free. Like, Rodney, come pick me up, take me to the house so I can get something. Rodney picks me up, takes me to my first spot. Big old green stickers on the door, like property of the state. It's boarded up, locked up. Go to another one. So I went to the county with everything, woke up the next morning with nothing. And that was super humbling, right? Like newspaper articles, Letterman jackets. I don't have those things to show my kids. Like, this is, like, that's why you never hear, I don't tell my war stories. I don't talk about how good of a running back I was, because it hurts to think like I lost all that making bad decisions, right? But Rodney picks me up. He like, bro, where you want me to take you? All I got to my name is my 86 Cutlass, right? And the money I went to jail with. So I say, take me to the mall. Go to the mall, walking through Dillard's, and I see Ty.
Okay.
Who is now my wife.
Did you know her at this time?
I met Ty 4 weeks before that. Shout out to the twins, the other twins, Shane and Sean, Polos and Jays. There was a Polos and Jays party.
I'm sure I was there.
Yeah. So it's like 8:30 at night, and you know me, I'm a procrastinator. 8:30 at night, I'm running through the mall, putting together an outfit, and I see these shell-toed Adidas. Right? It's Jays. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was supposed to be wearing Jays, but I want to show up with shell toes, because that's how I'm different. I'm different. Like, and this is what I'm going to stand on. I don't care who say something about it. So I'm running through there, and I see Ty. She's working at Dillard's. I'm like, help me put a fit together. She's like, boy, the mall closes in 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah, so we need to move fast. Bro, still to this day, we operate the same way. But, like, she's literally putting together an outfit. I can tell she's agitated. But I just remember thinking to myself, like, I had seen pretty women. I had seen beautiful women. I had seen this. But, like, her spirit was mad different. So I paid for the clothes, whatever. So that was the first time I had actually met her, but I had never talked to her. So now I'm meeting her on my worst day. Right? I just got out the county.
Oh, shoot. The twin give you any shoes?
Twin gave me shoes. Okay. Shout out to my boy Rodney. He gave me shoes, so I'm somewhat presentable. But I go through there and I buy some clothes, and then I just remember pacing the food court, trying to build up the courage. Like, I shouldn't even be worried about trying to talk to a chick right now. But, like, I just couldn't leave it alone. So I went back, and I'm like,
I got to pause it real quick. Yeah. In all these moments, this is the first time you've mentioned even a lack of confidence. that's layered. So we talking how you grew up. We talking what you've been through from sports to prison, and now you about to go talk to
Yeah.
a lady that you met one time.
One time.
You
On
don't
my
even
worst
know
day.
she gonna be your forever.
Yeah.
And there's a smidgen of, I think that's layered. Sorry, I had to acknowledge that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I build up the courage, and I just go to her. I'm like, what are you doing tonight? And, you know, she's running track at Wichita State. She's a 4.0 student. Like, I already knew she was out of my league, especially in that moment. I'm like, what are you doing tonight? And if you know Ty, like, she's very, like, intimidating, right? So she's shooting me down, but I can tell, like, I'm getting rebounds, so I'm putting them back up. And so she's like, well, I'm going to be busy, whatever. I'm like, well, let me take you to lunch right now. She was like, I actually go to lunch in like 15 minutes. I was like, all right, we're going to go to Carlos O'Kelly's. So Dillard's is right here. Carlos O'Kelly's, I forgot, I don't know what it is now, but it was in the same parking lot. And I was like, bet, because I didn't want her to know I drove a Cutlass. Even though it was a clean Cutlass, it was like the dope boy car. And like, she was a well put together woman. So I'm like, all right, well, I take her to Carlos O'Kelly's, and we've been together every day since then. Every day since then, we've been together. Through all my BS, she literally tamed me. And that's what I love about my wife and what I've accomplished. Like, she was that piece that I needed. You know, like I said, she's finishing up her degree. Eventually I'm fighting the case. I'm going to trial. Like, we have a child together, like all these things. I took her through things, but she held me accountable. She didn't put up with my BS. First girl who didn't put up with my BS. Everybody else put up with my BS. Like, I could do whatever, but like, no, I pissed Ty off. I'm in the weekly. I don't even have to make reservations. Like, my bags are packed. She's like, you're over there for a week. Like, I'm going to call you whenever I'm ready. But that's how we've built what we have right now. But, yeah, so my worst day and best day happened on the same day.
What do you feel like maybe had to die inside of you for you to even be able to pursue Ty in that way? And did you know that this was going to be that's such a pivotal moment to change your life?
I absolutely did. And I knew that in order for me to be with Ty, I was going to have to stop trying to do it my way. You know, I was going to have to stop trying to do it my way. Mind you, I just had that conversation with God the night before in the county. So it was like perfect timing. And Ty was the piece needed for me to be successful, because without Ty, I wouldn't have had that extra layer of accountability to say, well, this is what you told God you were going to do. You know, it's one thing if you tell your friends, this is what you told God you were going to do. So I had to change a lot. I had to give up friends. I had to give up habits, quit going to the club. I mean, all that. But it was an even exchange.
Yeah.
You asked me what was hard and what was easy. Giving all that up was easy. Not only because I told God I was, but I had a woman in front of me who it was worth giving it up for. And she reminded me of that often. Not like in an arrogant way, you know, but like how she treated me, how she believed in me. You got to think, I went from being the man, having the money, to when I met you, we were at Heartspring, right? So
100%.
Here I am, the man. Now I'm changing diapers on a kid who's fighting me, biting me, kicking me, scratching me, humbled me all the way down to the core. And I'm going home every night to a woman who is treating me like a king still, telling me I can do it, telling me like I am worth it. And she literally took my hands and got me up on my feet so that I could run and become like literally who I am today.